So I just want to talk for a second how we read email, because a lot of times we do everything backwards. We focus on the greatest copy, the greatest creative, the greatest everything. It's not reality of how we actually consume email, what we need to focus on. Here's how we actually read email. We look at the from address first, right? We look at the subject line, the first half of the subject line, really. We might look at the pre-header, maybe. We look at the headline, and then we look at the call to action button. That's it. We don't read what you're saying at all. And if you're not focused on those things, it's a fail. This is how we consume email. It's not about the words. And by the way, if you put too many words, it will just forget it. They'll get rid of it. It's really important to understand how we read email. Why do I say that? Speed. Speed now in email is everything, but also telling people how bored they're going to be is working incredibly well right now, right? All of these emails say the same thing, right? So it says, take our 2-minute survey, 2-minute quiz, your 5-minute read. Jay, you got a minute? 3-minute demo, 2-minute tips. It's literally telling the person, listen, we suck. We know that, okay? We're going to be really boring, but it's only going to be 2 minutes, right? And when you tell the person it's only going to be 2 minutes, it's only going to be 5 minutes, only going to be 3 minutes, it does incredibly well in all of our marketing. So in the last 90 days, the number of minutes, when you put it in the subject line, it is increasing open rates by 28%. Because you're telling the person, you don't need to invest that much time. It's not going to be that bad, I promise. Okay? It's not going to be so bad. Right? And if I put in the subject line, this is going to be 90 minutes, you're like, no chance. Thank you very much. I'm out of here. Smell you later. Right? So that doesn't work. In the pre-header, it is gold. Okay, if you put the number of minutes, the pre-header is the second subject line, right? You got your from address, you got your subject line, then you got the pre-header, which is the second subject line. That real estate, if you are using that real estate if you're having trouble viewing this, click here, that's horrendous. Okay, that's 1985. Don't do that. Do not do that. No one's having trouble viewing anything because they haven't opened up your email yet. Okay, that's how that works. You want to use that real estate to get them to open the email. And when you tell them it's only going to be a 2-minute read, you're like, all right, I got 2 minutes. Increases open rates by 19%. Even the content in your newsletters, okay? In your newsletters, here's Google's newsletter, right? They put next to all the different content pieces how long of a read it's going to be, right? They'll put in there next to the article, 4-minute read, because they know we're like, do I have time for this? Okay, I got time for this, right? Number of minutes in the body copy increases your click-through rate by 17%. It's this management of expectations. It's this, hey, we get it. We're boring. We're not that boring. We're 4 minutes boring, right? So it works really, really well. You see it there. All right. I like how this slide says super fast tips because I wasn't talking fast enough before, so there you go. Oh, my God. If you haven't done this Mentos thing, we should all do that together later. I showed this one to my kids. They go, I don't get it. What does that mean? I was like, what's wrong with you? You guys don't put Mentos in soda? They're like, we don't really drink soda. I'm like, what is going on? I've lost my mind. Go drink soda. Live on the edge. Look at this horrible slide. Holy cow. And you got to like fantastic, right? I mean, that is like the greatest. There's nothing better than that meme. These are my favorite ChatGPT prompts. By the way, I don't know if you heard this thing called AI. I heard him mention it once or twice at the conference. So everything else about AI, everyone talks about these big ideas, take over the world, do this, do that. I'm going to tell you literally my favorite prompts that I think are game changers for email that are really easy to do and how I use it. So the subject line prompt that is my favorite, and it's really about the same concept across the board is, the best thing you do in a subject line, the number one driver to why somebody opens up an email is having a sense of urgency in your subject line. Fact, right? Offer expires today, tomorrow's the webinar, this is your last chance, right? Urgency is number one. So if you put in, take the subject line you've written, I don't care what it is, you write, here's your subject line, and you write, and you write, please rewrite. I always say please. Every time I go to ChatGPT, I say please. I don't know why I do. I'm trying to break that. I'm like, I literally write please. Very weird. I don't know what that means. Like I'm like the robots, I'm scared of them. Anyway, please rewrite. You put your subject line in to be more urgent, but with less than 50 characters, and don't include the word urgent or alert, because that's bad. That's my favorite subject line prompt. My favorite call to action prompts are kind of the same thing, right? Is rewrite the call to action download, rewrite the call to action register, Rewrite the call to action, shop now, without saying download or register or shop now. Because those are horrible words. Those are horrible words. They don't work. All right? And then the last one, and this is amazing if you're not doing this. Creating content takes a lot of time and energy and whatever, and we just don't have it. You can take any piece of content that you have. So let's say writing newsletters is like the bane of everyone's existence. It takes forever. By the time it gets out the door, you're like, thank God, it's out the door. I have to do it next week. I'm going to lose my mind. So here's what you want to do. Take that newsletter or take your blog post or take any content that was a pain in the butt. You stick it in ChatGPT and you give it very specific instructions. Take this newsletter, Control-C, Control-V, put it in there, and rewrite this to a top 10 checklist, 7 pitfalls to avoid list, a quick start guide with 8 bulleted ideas, a LinkedIn post with 100 words. You give it super specific instructions, and it will take what you created, which is a pain in the butt, and it'll turn it into your content for the next 2 weeks, okay? And yeah, you gotta edit it, you gotta move it around, but to just write all this content and then just use it for that one thing is an epic waste, an epic fail. And you could reverse it. You could even take a LinkedIn post and say, turn this into a newsletter of 800 words or whatever you want it to be, right? It's an easy way to do it. You know, back to the call to action prompts. When you write your call to action buttons, the buttons in your emails, when you write them in first person, right, it leads to a 28% higher overall click-through rate. So instead of, register, you say, I want in. Instead of register, save my spot. Instead of register, yes, I'm excited. Those buttons can say whatever you want, right? Not taking advantage of the little things. I mean, think about it. You did nothing. You're increasing your click-through rate by 28%. All you did was change kind of the frame of mind of what the person's seeing.